Dracula by Bram Stoker. Every book in 10 minutes. Garlic, crucifixes. A stake through the heart, no reflection in the mirror. Cannot enter unless invited. You know the rules, everyone knows the rules, and almost all of them were written into legend by one novel in 1897. Every vampire in every film and series since is either copying Count Dracula or arguing with him. This is the source code. Bram Stoker was not a full-time novelist. He managed London's most famous theatre and its most famous actor, for whom he ran errands for decades. He researched vampire folklore for 7 years, found the name Dracula in a library book about a Wallachian prince, and assembled his monster the way a stage manager builds a show, piece by piece, effect by effect. And the form is half the genius. There is no narrator. The book is a stack of documents, diaries, letters, a ship's log, newspaper clippings, a doctor's phonograph recordings. You piece the horror together the way the characters do, one entry at a time. It is found footage, invented a century before the camcorder. Part 1. The Castle. It begins as a business trip. Jonathan Harker, a young English lawyer, travels to Transylvania to close a real estate deal. A foreign count is buying property in London. The locals react strangely to his destination. An old woman begs him not to go, then hangs her own crucifix around his neck. At every village, the crowds cross themselves as his coach passes. At a mountain pass in the dark, a silent driver with iron strength collects him, and wolves escort the carriage. At the castle door waits a tall old man, pale with a white moustache and a grip like cold steel. Enter freely and of your own will, he says, and the phrasing matters. This monster runs on invitations. Somewhere outside, wolves howl. Listen to them, the count smiles. The children of the night. What music they make. Then the details begin to rot. The count is never seen eating. There are no servants, no mirrors, and when Harker shaves, the count appears behind him with no reflection in the glass. And one night, looking out his window, Harker sees his host emerge from a window below and crawl down the sheer castle wall, face first, like a lizard. It is still the most alien image in the book. Harker tests the doors and understands. He is not a guest, he is a prisoner, kept alive until the paperwork clears. He is nearly taken by 3 pale women who drift through a locked room and watches workmen load 50 wooden boxes filled with earth onto carts. The count departs with them for England, leaving Harker locked in with the sisters. The lawyer climbs out the same wall his host did. Part 2. The Ship and the Sisters. Weeks later, a Russian ship runs aground at Whitby in a storm, with a cargo of wooden boxes and not one living soul on board. The captain's body is lashed to the wheel, a crucifix in his hands, and his log tells the story in shrinking entries. A crew that vanished man by man, night by night, and something tall and thin that was never on the passenger list. Witnesses swear a huge black dog leapt ashore and vanished up the cliff. In Whitby wait 2 friends, Mina, engaged to the missing Harker, and Lucy, who has just accepted one of 3 proposals in a single day. Lucy begins sleepwalking. Mina finds her at midnight on their favorite bench, with something dark bending over her. From that night, Lucy fades, pale, exhausted, dreaming of red eyes, with 2 tiny wounds at her throat that refuse to heal. Meanwhile, in a London asylum next door to the Count's new estate, a patient named Renfield eats flies, then spiders, then birds, collecting life the way a miser collects coins. His moods swing with his new master's movements, worshipful when the Count is near, violent when denied. The doctors chart him like weather. He is the novel's barometer, and a storm is coming. Dr. Seward, one of Lucy's rejected suitors, calls in his old teacher, Abraham Van Helsing, a Dutch professor who keeps an open mind about closed subjects. 4 men give Lucy their blood in transfusions. Garlic appears around her bed and is helpfully removed by her mother. It is a war of inches and they lose it. Lucy dies, and then the newspapers report a beautiful lady luring children on Hampstead Heath at dusk. Part 3. The Hunt. What follows in Lucy's tomb is the novel's point of no return. Van Helsing shows the empty coffin, then the returned sleeper, lovely and wrong. Her fiancé is handed the stake because the folklore is precise. It must be love that does it. What lies down afterwards, the book insists, is finally Lucy again. At peace. The men walk out changed. Superstition just became procedure. The hunters unite. Harker returned broken from the castle. Mina, who types every document into one shared file, the 3 suitors, and Van Helsing. They begin sterilizing the Count's 50 boxes of earth one by one. He answers by coming for Mina in the night, again and again, and binds her to him with his own blood, a connection she carries like a brand. The hunter's greatest weapon is now also his spy inside their camp. But a link runs both ways. At every sunrise and sunset, Van Helsing hypnotizes Mina, and through the Count's own senses she reports lapping water, creaking wood, darkness. The monster is fleeing home by sea in his last box of earth. The team races him across Europe by train, by steamer, and finally on horseback through the snow, using his psychic connection as a compass against him. They catch the wagon at sunset, within sight of the castle. There is a fight with the Count's guards, and the box is torn open as the sun touches the mountains. 2 knives do what folklore demanded, one through the throat, one through the heart. Harker's account swears the face showed for one instant something like peace before the body fell to dust. The American, Quincy Morris, dies of his wounds, the hunt's only grave. Part 4. The Long Shadow. Why did this book terrify 1897? Because it weaponized every anxiety of its decade. A foreign aristocrat buying up London property, feeding on English blood. Invasion fiction, infection that spreads through blood and turns victims into carriers, disease made flesh. And under all of it, desire that respectable society refused to name, arriving at the bedroom window anyway. The Count is a bundle of Victorian nightmares in evening dress. And notice how the heroes win. Not with swords, with technology and paperwork. Typewriters, phonographs, telegrams, train timetables, blood transfusions, shared files. Stoker invented the template every monster story still uses, the team of specialists, pooling modern tools against an ancient thing. The Count fights from the Dark Ages, the heroes fight from the office. The novel sold modestly, the monster did not. An unauthorized film called Nosferatu was ordered destroyed by Stoker's widow and survived anyway. Then came Lugosi, Hammer, Anne Rice, Buffy, Twilight. Each generation pours its own fear into the same cape, from contagion to addiction to dangerous love. Dracula never dies in culture for the same reason he never dies in the book. He simply changes shape. One last secret of the book's power: the Count is barely in it. After the castle chapters, he appears on only a handful of pages, glimpsed at windows, in shadows, in other people's symptoms. For hundreds of pages, he exists mainly as evidence. Stoker understood what horror directors still relearn every decade. The monster is biggest while he is off-screen. Next time, a Victorian inventor presses a lever and rides 800,000 years into the future to find out what humanity becomes. The book that invented time travel. The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. Every book in 10 minutes.